So I've been handed the keys to the Mac Daddy for a few days, but could all of the improvements that Ford made to make this better on track also make it better on the school run? Shall we find out? My name's Ben and welcome to Dadcars. So the last time we had a Mustang on the channel, I took my 2-year-old out with me, but today I'm going to take my 4- and 6-year-old. So let's check and see if I can get suitable child seats for them in the back. Right, so I'm sure everybody is aware that the Mustang is not a 4-seater, it's a 2+2. So, you know, these rear seats are compromised, mainly because of the head height. So, as an adult, I'm 5'11", very long-bodied, plenty of leg space, but yeah, it's just this head space. So, you know, if I slump down, you can fit in here. But I think small adults and small teenagers will be able to fit back here quite comfortably. So here's a slight frustration with these rear seats. Although they are huge, and you should be able to get pretty much any child seat back there, because of the strange design down here, how it kind of like slopes down, and the ISOFIX is kind of in there, it means that when you sort of get the child seat in, it doesn't sort of push back quite as far as you'd like. Although handily, there is a lot of legroom there. And you of course do have the top anchors. I'll be fascinated to know, what child seats do you use in the back of your Mustang? Let me know in the comments below. So over here, I'm going to be using a full-size 5-point harness ISOFIX-based child seat with top tether. And on the other side, an ISOFIX-based booster seat. As ever is the case with child seats, it's important that you, as the parent, read the manufacturer's instructions, do your own research, and decide what seats will fit best for your family. Now, this double buggy is massive. So even if you're not looking to get a double buggy in the back, this will be interesting to see. If you can get this in here, I think you can get anything in here. Okay, so look, unfortunately, although there is enough space in there, because this opening is restricted, I'm not going to be able to get this in. How about a full-sized single buggy? Now, these are actually quite big and annoying shapes. You can often struggle to get them into boots. Yeah, see, look. So a full-size single fits in there easily, and you've still got a large amount of boot space there.
And the Mustang's final practicality flex is the rear seats folding down.
Now, the chances are, if you're particularly interested in the Mach 1, you probably already watched one of the other fantastic videos on YouTube that goes into full detail on what makes this car so special. But let me give you the highlights.
So a brand new Mustang Mach 1 will cost you around £10,000 more than a standard Mustang GT. And what do you get for that money? Well, power is only up a modest 10 horsepower, with the Mach 1 producing around 454 brake horsepower. But it's not like the standard GT was ever struggling to spin those rear wheels, was it? I mean, upgrades with the Mach 1 include a rear subframe taken directly from a Shelby GT car, mag ride dampers, 6-piston Brembo brakes, steering and handling upgrades, rev matching, and a whole host of other goodies that I'm not going to go into, but all promise to make this a complete delight on track. But I'm excited to find out in a moment if this also means it's a more capable, composed rear-wheel drive muscle car for the road to take your children out in. One last thing before I do take this out with my daughters I want to mention is the Mustang's NCAP safety rating. Back in 2017, the Mustang GT got 2 stars out of 5, but then quickly went to 3 stars in the same year without a single physical upgrade to its safety whatsoever. I studied this test and how the poor result was scored, and it's fascinating. I believe that if this Mustang here today with the child seats that I'm using in the back was tested, it would achieve a better result. But if you're interested in this and you'd like to see me make a video about NCAP safety ratings and on some of the cars that I feature, let me know in the comments below and make sure you subscribe to the channel.
Now, girls, are you comfortable back there? Yeah, you got lots of leg space. Well, I'd say a decent amount of leg space, actually. Okay, let's go. Oh. The fact that this car detects when you've got the key in your pocket and automatically opens the door is a massively underrated feature for a dad car. Also, can we just take a moment to appreciate a brand new car which sounds this amazing stock, no soft limiters. You can spend 3 times as much on a brand new car as you'll pay for one of these, get something German, and it won't sound anywhere near as good as this. I am ashamed to admit that I do like the rev matching feature as you drop it down. It's really quite nice. Hey girls, listen to the indicator. It gallops like a horse, listen. Do you like that? Is that funny? The other nice things you get with the Mach 1 are the Mach 1 branding on the door sills and in front of the passenger there, and obviously externally as well. And you've got this wonderful cue ball gear knob, which is a lovely nod to the original Mach 1 69. Now, I know a lot of people moan about the fact that Ford didn't swap round the cup holder and handbrake position when they made right-hand drive cars. But look, stop moaning. We got the Mustang in the UK. I'm just so thankful for that, you know what, I don't even care. I don't even care that the cup holders are effectively useless. But subscribers of the Dadcars channel are not going to be surprised to hear me say I've got one big gripe with the Mach 1. That all-digital instrument cluster. For me, a driver-focused manual Mustang like this is an analog thing. I want analog dials there. And on a sunny day, you do get quite a bit of reflection on that screen as well. I will concede that when it's in its track mode and it looks more like a computer game, that is pretty cool, and that would probably be quite handy if you were driving on track. But day to day, I want to see analog dials. But this is still, with the round edges, a hell of a lot better than what it looks like the next Mustang is going to have, which is going to have a huge infotainment wraparound screen, like you're sat on your sofa watching Netflix. When I'm driving my Mustang with manual gearbox, I don't want to be distracted, I want to be looking out the front. You should just have analog dials and heads-up display, like you have on the ZL1 that I reviewed. So the interior being functional as opposed to high-end quality, I think it's the same with the exterior on this car as well. So you've got some really lovely side skirts and that front lip, but they're not made of carbon fibre, they're not body painted, they are just a cheap plastic. And I say that as a positive, because if you're using this as a dad car with your children, going to the supermarkets, dropping them off at school, all of these sorts of things, if a trolley was to hit your front lip and damage it, it's going to ruin your day as opposed to ruining your month if it was made of carbon fibre. So, I mean, driving this, I actually get the sense of almost liberation that not everything is super special and super expensive. Just makes it more usable and will probably make it a more enjoyable thing day to day. Right, coming out to national speed limit, second gear, 2,500 RPM. Let's have a look. What do you think of that, girls? So I recently drove the monstrous Camaro ZL1. You can see that video on the channel. And that was just insane. Obviously supercharged, been modified, crazy high horsepower. And driving that thing with a child on board, you really did have to be delicate with the accelerator pedal. And so I actually think that the Mustang Mach 1, although you might think at 450 odd brake horsepower, maybe it's not blisteringly fast, but I think that this car is at a real sweet spot of performance level where it's actually very usable and very dailyable. So the Mach 1 was designed to be a more track-focused Mustang. And again, you might be thinking, wow, that doesn't really sound like something that you want to use with your children. But all of the little tweaks that Ford have made here, and obviously they borrowed quite a lot of stuff from the mighty Shelby. What they've created is a V8 Mustang, which is far more capable of keeping everything in a straight line. The Shelby under tray and all of the other aero bits that this car has got creates 22% more downforce over the standard GT. Just everything on the Mach 1 is so much tighter and more precise. The gear shifts are much shorter and more intuitive. And the biggest thing for me driving this is the steering. They absolutely nailed it. The changes they made to the steering rack and the power steering programming, honestly, it is night and day. You're not going to get stuck at a roundabout log in this, are you? It's really quite strange piloting a Mustang that feels this kind of nimble and almost point and squirt, dare I say it. I'll be interested to know what you guys think of the colour of this car. So it's fighter jet grey, and the way I can describe it is it's like looking at a white car at night, but it looks like that during the day. But let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this colour? Girls, we need to say a massive thank you to this car's owner. What's his name? James, yes. He is a father of 6 children, and he's got a fleet of exciting cars. And his taste in cars is pretty similar to mine, one of which I would love to get on the Dadcars channel, so hopefully we will. But James has got his own YouTube channel, Driven Flawed, and I'd highly recommend that you guys go and check that channel out. And this is his daily. He did nearly 10,000 miles in the first year of ownership, And if you'd like to know more about what this is like to run as a daily, make sure you check out the Driven Floored channel. Go over there, give him a subscribe. Also, you can have a little peek at what other cars he's got and see if you can find out what car I'm talking about. I'm not going to go through all the running costs on this car because I did it on the GT review, but there's one thing I want to talk about, and that's miles per gallon. So across the 10,000 miles that this car has been driven, it's averaging just under 22 miles per gallon. Now, that might be enough for some of you to think, look, no, I'm not going to do that. But let me put that into perspective. If you bought a car instead that did 40 miles per gallon, across 10,000 miles, it only cost an extra £1,500 to have this V8 that makes this noise instead. And personally for me, 22 miles per gallon, when it sounds this good, is completely worth it. So if you're only doing 5,000 miles a year, that's £750 extra, which works out about £60 a month. All you'd have to do is cancel some of your subscriptions that you don't need, and then you'd be able to have this instead. I think that NCAP should introduce a new part of their pedestrian safety testing. I think there should be a test to see how far away you can hear the car when it's travelling at 20, 30 miles per hour. Because, you know, pedestrians are sort of stepping out. Because when I'm with my children and we're walking around residential roads, I always say to them, stop, look, listen, and then look again for EVs. I'm doing 15 miles per hour, but you can hear that standard rumbling V8. The chances of somebody accidentally pushing out a buggy between two cars ahead of me here, when they can hear this car coming over an EV, surely that's got to contribute towards pedestrian safety. Right, let's overtake this cyclist, yeah? Ready? Oh, that short shift gearbox is so lovely. You do just feel so much more confident driving this over the GT. Maybe it's the fact that this comes with Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's as standard. It's got the additional 22% downforce, but I still wouldn't want to plant my foot down going round a corner in this car with my children on board, because I'm sure you would be able to break traction in this quite easily, but it does just feel so much more composed. So the Mustangs are huge cars, aren't they? But honestly, every time I drive one, it doesn't feel that big. Maybe it's because the seating position, you are quite high and you've got really good visibility for a car like this. This definitely feels like a smaller car to me than the Camaro, but it's not. This is a tiny bit longer than the Camaro and about 17 millimeters wider. So we got the 6th generation Mustang finally here in the UK in 2016. And if I'm not mistaken, please correct me in the comments below if I am, but I think when they came out in 2016, were they like £35,000 brand new? And the crazy thing is that a number of years ago, those early 2016 cars, they depreciated down to £25,000, and then they've never gone lower than that. I mean, yeah, sure, you see some sort of category cars or cars that are really sort of ropey looking, but generally speaking, they never go below £25,000, which means that they hold their value really well. And I think the Mach 1 is really going to hold its value as well, because honestly, this is such a special car. And for somebody like me, I'm not a big modder. So I like the idea that, look, Ford really nailed it here. If you don't want to go down the supercharging route and, you know, pushing performance above 500 horsepower, honestly, I think this is a perfect Mustang. This would be such a wonderful car to have alongside, you know, a family wagon. If your other half drives an SUV or something like that, the majority of the family miles are done in that. And this is a car that no matter what you're doing is always going to be fun. It's always going to be special. I mean, I'm on a pretty bad piece of road here and the damping is brilliant. I just feel very in tune with the car. And obviously the steering, everything I've talked about today. This is such a wonderful thing. My only concern is that if I now drive a standard Mustang GT, has this kind of spoiled it for me, because there is such a difference. And I think people who've driven a Mustang GT and didn't like it for various reasons, I think if they drove one of these, I think they would be shocked. So look, thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Ooh, rumble, rumble. And if you haven't seen it already, make sure you check out the ZL1 video we did. And if you want to see more on the Mustang, it's worth checking out the GT review I did as well. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Say goodbye, everyone.